Okay, so this is the course material that we'll be using, and then we'll be looking at it, and we'll start with this the study session one, right? So this course is about the course title is production and operation management. So, and I know that all of us here we are business people and let me say and working class people. So you must know somehow you should be familiar with operation somehow. Yeah, because operation happens in any work, any business at all. It can either be services or products. Operation is going on there. So we'll be looking at operations. So if you look at from the study one, from the session one now, we're looking at the first content we'll be looking at this operation. So it's material is just here we can read, but like as we do it, I'll have a summary that we'll do just for our studies for our study session. That I'll work on that and then I'll drop it with us so we can actually go through it. But that does not mean we'll not use our material because it's important that you can just read it to get more. Just as the material somehow it has a lot of content that it's not familiar to read like that. Okay, so we'll start. So so just to confirm that we are all together or like you can hear me. Uh, just confirm that you can hear me so we can start.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So the 2.1 is talking about operation management, which is like more of this operation differs from other forms of organizational management because it applies to management of the productive or transformational process. So in just summary, like for our study session, we just discuss it like how we understand. Yeah. So for me, I can just say production management as part of a business that takes resources, right? And take resources and then turn them into something useful. Something useful like then but I mean something useful. This thing can be product or services. You understand? We have the resources. So how can we utilize these resources, put them together, then turn them into what useful products or services? That is just what I mean production management, right? So as we so I want us to like think of production management like as an engine room, right? You know, an engine room of any organization, any company. Understand? You think of it like that. Because every organization, every business, what you do there, they have to operations are going in there. Whether it's services or production, there is operation. That's it. So the materials here and then so it tells in the second step that operation management as function has a considerable influence on the quality, cost, availability of organization goods or services. This in turn have a direct bearing on whether the organization achieves its other main objective to increase productivity and profitability, to increase market share, to provide a reasonable return for investment and all that, right? So, so I like I said, I think of business operation management as what as an engine room of any organization. That so when you talk about the engine room here, let's say assuming we have something like when you're talking about operation management as an engine room, let's say you're going to have something like an input. Just the way I said that, I'll see it as a part of uh organization whereby it takes the resources of a company or of the organization and transform these resources into a useful product or service. So I can see it like when I said as an engine room, I can say, okay, let's say my business management has an input, right? It's just an explanation to very way, simple way. So I have an input, right? I have an input where I also have some outputs. So everything that has an input has an output. So we can see this in a way that they just say an organization that has this we're talking when you talk about the input, we are talking about people, right? This is an operation that has to do with people. People has to be there. We also have machines. Machines has to be there. You understand? Machines has to be there. Whatever machine you are using, those things are input. And then we have materials. Materials has to be there. And then we can have things like so like I mentioned. And we also have things like information, we have technology and all that, right? So we now also have like let's say we can think of something like transformation, right? Let's say we have the transformation. So transformation should be like in between these guys. Let's say I have transformation here in between this guy. So transformation could just be like it's going to be a process. What is processing those things? So for instance, transformation is just like input, transformation, and output. Because I said it's a I'm seeing operation management as a part of business that takes the resources, turn them into a useful product or service. So that means, and if we're inputting people here, what is those people giving you at the end of the day? You understand? So we can say, okay, these people are actually these people are processing to give me some. So at the end of the day, this all this input you have here, when you process them, they can give you goods or services, right? They can give you goods or services, and give you goods or services. And and I can say I have a very practical example because I work like where I work in my company where I work, I work as an IT coordinator in but I actually work an IT operation uh, coordinator because I work with a terminal, right? So we have a terminal like a container terminal where shipping lines they bring containers, and so we actually all places our customers are shipping lines. So they bring containers, we have a space for them, we have storage, keep their containers, and then they take them. So I work in my company as an IT coordinator, right? So now I work with the operation team. And I can tell you that there a whole lot of operation that goes on, and that is just on the terminal operation. And if you go to manufacturers, we have people like Dangote, you have a lot of them, a lot of operation that goes in there. So and those people, they actually the people or the input that makes those things, the goods that we see, the services that you see out there, there are people. Just like we have people, when you talk about operation in our company, operation is a department, but operation manage every aspect of the business because the customer service are working, operation is going on. The HR also are in operation because they have to manage the people there. So everything that happen in a business, operation actually is like is still involved. Do you understand? So for instance, so when I talk about the operation as operation management, taking in resources. So we can have like you can all agree that with the practical example, like let's say a pure water, uh, let's say a pure water factory. Maybe you want decide to start a pure water factory today, right? So that pure water factory now you can see we can have input like let's say I want to start the pure water factory now, like water factory. So something like this. So we're looking at the input here and then looking at the output here. So we can see that the input for a product, for us to get at the end of the day, what we are looking at is we are looking at an end product. So we can see the inputs are going to be here. Like we have the water is going to be there. Water has to be there. And then we have we we have like nylon. Yeah, that should be included. And also we have I think I was privileged to be in a water factory. Yeah, because I remember when I was doing my project, my final year project there in my final year, my BS project. So I did my project in quality control, right? Like I did my project in quality control of pure water production, like a bottled water, and I used a water like a, a pure water a water factory distinct company as a case study. So I actually went into their production room, like the operation. I saw everything, like So the whole lot of operation that goes there from where the water is. If you like, they fire the water from there, you move to another, they filter the water. All those all those things are transformation. So when I was talking about this as a business, like operation, right, we have the input here, all those things. So we are looking at this water, the pure water, this thing factory. We can input the water. We have water, we have workers, people have to be there. We have workers have to be there. We have machines. We have some machines have to be there. Now, at the end of the transformation aspect of it here, we now look at maybe when we want to filter the water, like, we want to filter the water, we want to treating of the water, and sealing of the water. Because all those things, at the end of the day, what are we looking for? If it was a bottled water, we're going to get bottled water at the end of the day, and we can get bottle pure water sachets. You can get sachet water, so you can see this is just like operation explaining very simple. You just turn the resources into what a useful product. So from this simple explanation, I believe that we will actually understand what operation management is all about. For real. So should I kind of continue?
Yes, please, I understand you clearly.
Okay. So we can so now that with a very simple question, like we can be like, why is operation is important? Why is it like why is operation management is important? No operation. Why is operation management is important? Or why are we doing this course? Why are we doing the course? Is the course actually important like that? They'll have to do it. It's kind of a question.
Well, operations manager, sorry, operations management is important because it covers personally. I believe it covers the end-to-end activities of the firm or the organization. For
Okay.
example, then I can probably put a small, should I say, no, let me not call it a small flow chart, of that input, transformation, then output. Then I can now cite a case study. Let's say, just like you said, the pure water factory. Then,
Okay.
how they move, their human resource aspects, the production of the water, probably where they get the water supply from, how they clean, they filtrate it, how they get their bottles and whatever. Then the process of the water, how they make sales and they distribute it to the end users or people who will consume it eventually, that kind of thing.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I think that's cool. That's cool. So at the end of the day, like doing all these things now, why we do everything? Why are we taking time to study operation management? Because I feel like why we are doing that is to actually one of it is to save time, right? We'll save time. Now when you talk about operation management, like we have to understand, like it's something we know when something should be and when something should be at the right time. Do you understand? So the operation management, like we are looking at this as a big thing, like a whole big thing now. But if you now want to relate it to our daily job, like what you go to work and you do every day, you see what everybody's trying to do, right? We're trying to see how we can we can manage our time and also meet our customers' demand. So we have a lot of customers and we have to meet all of them. Like we meet like they have expectations. Like for instance, I will give you sometimes we have customers that come to the office and then they are like, I have paid for my container till today, container is now it is sometimes the issue could be from the issue that the reason why maybe they are not able to get and maybe their order or whatever they are looking for on time, there are a lot of factors. Now, those are a lot of factors that actually, there are a lot of factors that make your work easy, and there are a lot of factors that make your work slow. All those things. So in your operation management, it helps you to reduce waste. What I talk, it helps you to reduce waste. By the time you study operation management, it can actually help you to reduce waste. Now, when you talk about waste in the process or in an operation or in anything, you are talking about things. There are a lot of things that a lot of factors. There, in fact, if you go to lean now, let's say like a lean principle, lean Six Sigma principle, they have about eight types of waste, where they have like they have the transportation, they have the defects, there are about eight of them. And there's other related operational management tools that they can also use. So, but then I feel that this is important because it can help us to save costs. You understand? It can help us to save costs. It also help us to like to save time. Also to help us to improve on our quality. Because by the time we understand operation management, we know how to channel our energy in every aspect of our product or service. So I think it's something that is really, really important for us to understand. So all these things we can see them here, you know. And when we talk about operation is not just in manufacturing or if or manufacturing firms or companies. Operation even happens even in the bank. Understand? Operation this, operation every business. So for instance, like a bank. So just imagine when you enter a bank to withdraw money. You understand? When you want to open, when you just enter the bank to withdraw money, right? That is this is service operation going on there. There's a service operation going on there that involve a staff, a computer, a network system, and then there's a queue there. Because if you go there now, you are not the only person. You cannot go to a bank and you be the only person there. I've never that thing have never happened to me. Even if you plan to go early, the time you plan to go early, another person planned before you. That's just the truth. I don't know why it's like that. But then, like I said, once you just enter into that bank, service operation is going on. Because this is staff in that bank, and there's a computer there that the person is going to use. There is a network cable, there's a network system, a network that is going to communicate from your bank account to that person's system. There's going to be a queue there. All these things are operation, and also verification process, because somebody cannot just go to a bank and withdraw money. So there's an operation that goes on to say, okay, ah, this person I want to withdraw, sign, put a signature there, and then let me check if the signature matches the one you have in your bank account. Then they'll give you the money. You understand? So all these things are operations. For real, these are just operation stuff. You understand? So we have. So I was just trying to like looking at this. So we have distinction between manufacturing operations and service operation. Just like I said, if you look at company like Dangote's, most of their sugar factories, all those things are manufacturing companies, and then we look at the service operation, just like the one I just give example of the bank, it's a service operation. Understand? An operation is defined in terms of the mission it serves for the organization. So command, the technology it employs, and the human managerial process it involves. Operations in an organization can be categorized into manufacturing, manufacturing operation and service operation. Manufacturing operation is a combustion process that include manufacturing yields or tangible output and then like a product, whereas a conversion process that includes service yield and all these things I just know that you can read, right? Since you can just go through this material, you just read some keynote there. But like I said, I will actually send the I will if I do a summary of this material, I will send it to the group so you can actually go through. The summary is actually going to take every key point from this thing, but then it will just be in a way that it will be easy for you to understand what that means. You get so all these things. So are we on the same page?
Yes.
Okay. So the distinction here of the distinction between the manufacturing and service operation is actually it's summarized into this A B C D E F G A B C D E F. So they have the tangible and the tangible and intangible nature of output, the conversion of output, nature of work, job, degree of customer contact, customer participation in conversion, and the measurement of performance. These things. I just stop with we can read. So there's a question here. What is the difference between manufacturing and service operation? It's a question for us. Can somebody answer that?
Even though I've not been able to read deeply, but from your example, you gave us two firms organization. So for
Okay.
manufacturing, you made mention of Dangote cement, Dangote sugar, where they produce good, where they, take raw materials and they convert
Exactly.
them into finished goods. Understand? Then you
Yeah.
now use your own firm. Let's just say logistics
Eh,
or supply chain management now.
exactly. Or
You
bank.
understand? As a service or and a bank.
A bank.
Yes.
Yes. A
Now use
bank.
it as a service this thing.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's just it. But I will read more on it, but at least I have a case study. I have case studies on them where I can, build points on.
Okay. Perfect. So all these questions that we see in the material, try and be let's answer them. They may be important. I don't know. I've not been in the school before, but they may be important anyway. Yeah. So they just stuff that we can see. So they have like a framework for managing operation. A framework. A framework just like kind of like a guide or a step by step method that we can actually like go by. So they say we have the framework number one is planning, right? And it's really nice that we have to plan. Like have to plan it. In fact, I can tell you anything like my you you plan operation have to be planning is value the first step. Just like I said, when it let's say we before a ship will bring like container or we have to do export or import, the shipping line will send us like a what they call an EDI. So they have to send that for the planning team. The planning start the work before and the other people, the yard, all those people start work. So when when they just get the file, they know that okay, the planning will say okay, the shipping line will be like, okay, we are coming on next week Tuesday. Planning got they just got the intel and they start working. You understand? They start working and they now organize. Planning will now move to tell the yard people that okay, now we have a ship that is coming next week, Wednesday. Okay, yard, how many this thing we need? How many manpower do we need? We need to organize. We need to know, okay, do we have space for them? If there's no space, how can we tell this other shipping line, come and take your containers? Because we need space on the yard to bring to put this. Do you understand? So organize. So from there, just I'm just trying to explain this like in a very what I see on a daily basis. Yeah. So we have planning. Planning like the framework of operation management, like managing operation. So we have the planning number one. These are activities that establish a course of action and guide future decisions in decision making. Understand? Activities that establish a course of action and guide future decision making is called planning. That's what I mean. So the operation manager define the objective of the operation, subsystem of the organization, and the policies and procedures for achieving the objectives. It's like so. So after that, we now move to organizing. So these are activities that establish a structure of tasks and authority. Operation managers establish a structure of rules and the flow of information within the operation subsystems. They have the control. So if you look at this one here, it's activities that establish a course of action and guide future decisions. It's activity that actually establish a course of action, an activity that make a decision that okay, this is what you are going to do. This one it's activity that establish a structure of tasks. Now we plan, then we know how to assign tasks. Okay, you are going to be on bet 5, like this shipping line will come. Okay, now there's another ship on the bet 2 or bet 3, another one you'll be on the bet 5. Do you get something like that? So it's because we already know these things, so we have to plan. Then we plan activities that are going on. And then we have the to control point where the activities that ensure the actual performance in accordance with planned performance. You understand? To control. So if you plan that, okay, if we plan that, now we plan that, okay, we're going to do, if that ship that is coming on Wednesday, we plan that, okay, you are coming on Wednesday and you are leaving on Thursday. So here we now have to, the activities that will actually ensure the actual performance is accordance with the planned performance. So if you say, okay, the ship is coming on Wednesday and is leaving on Thursday, at the end of our operation, we'll see that, okay, have we actually, so is that ship staying more than 4 like Thursday? That means, see, it is not. So that is when we have to start doing analysis to say, okay, why? So even if the ship was able to go on Wednesday, we now look at what are the factors that make us to complete the operation on time or even before on Thursday. But if it exceed on Thursday, now we look at how, what happened. Like, is it like our machines were not good enough or the manpower was not, So all these things. So the first one is planning. Don't take note of it. Once you have this, the first one is planning, organizing, control, and the behavior. Now, the behavior already said that operation managers are concerned with how their effort to plan, organize, and control affect human behavior. So they also want to know how the behavior of subordinate can affect management planning, organizing, and control those action. The interest lies in decision making behavior. So we have the all these things like I said, things we can do. So uh we have the last two, which is the models. As operation managers plan, organize, and control the completion process, they encounter many problems and must take many decisions. They can simplify their difficulties using models like aggregate planning models for examining how best to use existing capacity in short term. So break-even analysis to identify break-even volumes, linear programming, computer simulation for capacity utilization, and decision trees for. So this is taking you now to a systematic way now because we are talking about models. So we are looking at what we're talking about. This is going to where we have to use things like calculations here. So for instance, we talk about models. If you have the simple model that let's say people use mostly in business, I can tell you is one of in we look at regression model, right? We look at regression model. So it will help us to easily like project or to predict something. To say okay, we can use that to predict factors that actually contribute to our our performance. Let's say we're having sales. We have sales of we have we have sales like this. So what you talk about models? So I said the simple or the common one I can actually tell you right now is like, let's say we look at the regression model that's talk about this uh ABS. So this is actually a model and it's like a formula, right? Now a business, let's say a business that uses this. Assume I have a business like this. I have an operation. Let me just say I have sales. So I have sales like this. So this is kind of a monthly sales. So I have this month I make, so this is monthly sales. So this first month I make like 20 sales and I make so okay. So if you look at this is like 10 months already data that I have, right? So I have this, I have sale, I have sale, I have sale, I have sale, I have sale. So I made like 45 sales, and then this sale that I've made now, maybe I can say okay, uh, adverts. I have like adverts. So for this 25 sales, I spend like maybe 20,000 naira. I spend like 3,000 naira for adverts, and this other one. Let me use random variable like this, and I have this. I have maybe from 2,000 to 10,000. Okay, so I have like, so see, so what happened here is this, like, no, so this is for 10 months here. So I can actually, so if I'm using 7,000 naira, I make this sale. I use 4,000 naira, I make this, right? So what this it means is this: I have sales. So that means my sales is my Y. So this is just a model. Like, I'm just trying to explain a simple model for you what it means. So I have a Y here. This Y here, it's my X, my sales. You know why? Because my sales, the Y is a dependent variable, right? Because Y is equals to whatever is here. So Y is the one that is depending on X. X does not depend on Y. That is to say that my advert does not depend on sales. I don't depend on sales to get advert, to spend on advert. But the sales depend on advert. So it means I use I use 7,900 to make these sales. I use 4,000 something to make 29 sales. Do you understand? So I can use this now. So this is a model that I can use this data. I can solve this model and be able to predict for the next 10 months to tell me in future how much I'm going to make. Do you understand? So that is why when you have a system or an operation, you can tell that, but we are expecting to have this, we're expecting to have this, because it's a system already. We have studied it, we have designed a model that can fit into this kind of operation to know, okay, when we have this, this is what we are expecting. When we have this is what we should have. Something like that. That is what this guy is trying to tell you. Understand? Any question?
So
You say?
can you hear me? You stop
Yes.
sharing your screen.
Oh, my
I can
screen,
still see it
my
now.
screen is showing. Maybe it's your network. I can try to check.
Oh, okay, it's fine. I can see it now.
So, yeah. So, in summary of this course, we see another question is here. What are the general management functions? Simple question. So, any answer?
General management functions to
Yep.
plan.
Yeah, what are the general management functions?
Am I on the right path, please? Am I on the
Is
right
it
path?
planning, organizing,
Operating happy see there's a way I do this thing. Planning, organizing, there's one that starts with
control, behavior,
control. See, there's one that starts with S too.
Okay.
And directing.
Okay, this one's. Is this what they are saying?
Yes. Yes, controlling, directing, organizing.
So, what this thing you are saying here, these are this is a framework for managing operations, right? So the general management function as operation are concerned as this. So we, the one I'm asking that is because you see the way they wrote this heading here, understand. You may be confused, but actually, this is what it means. So we can see them here: planning, organizing, controlling the activity that reach. So they listed it one, two, three, four, five. So that's what it just a summary question. Did you get? So you may have a question like this: what are the general management functions? Then you know them already. You can even give it a small name that you can remember. BUCBM. What does that mean? So we anyhow. But there were five. So there are some questions here. Say write an essay on the concept of operation management. So when you have time, write the essay. Yeah. So they even answer the questions for you. Say they are here. Question number one: operation management is the heart of the success of the organization. It is the strategy used achieve achieve productive or transform process of an organization. Now we have number two: why manufacturing has to do with physical, tangible output. Yeah. So we have them say the number three answer is one, two, three, four, five. And you see planning, organizing, controlling behavior and models. Simple. So we have another study two raw material. We have the operations strategy. So this is it. So in summary here, what this means is like the operation strategy is simply it explains to you how the operation function. Understand how the operation functions. They support the overall business direction. Right. So if you look at this over time, strategies and process We do change with changes in the company's industry or any technology. You understand? So what this means is like it's just the strategy that you use that they actually help you to know how the operations functions. That is the operation function that we just mentioned. How they support the overall business direction. Where is the business going at time? What that means for me. So we have the evolution here. Evolution now when it started. Until 1960, the world of commerce and technology had changed very little from the one known to the Greeks and the Romans. Please erase stories, history. So these are stuff we can just read. They still ask you another question here. These people are very intentional about this question. Operation. Let me check. It's also okay. I don't have past question here. I wanted to check if I have questions. So just more. Okay. So they ask you what is operation strategic planning, right? So all this one here, like I said, kind of history. Please, you can just do yourself good to read this history. It may be important to you. Yeah,
But it is not important to be like, do you feel it is kind of
yeah.
important to know it?
It's important. That's why I say it's important to you, right? So just read it and understand it. And it may come in the exam. I don't know, but just read that part of it. So I want us to discuss like the practical aspect of our how we can just see the course in practical form. That's it. But it's something we can all go back and just read, pick the notes and just say them through. So there's a question here: define operations management. Operation management. So what is operation management?
Well, say are we to answer?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, it's um management of the inputs, like from input to output, whereby we have our input and transformation process, and then which is the operations, and then turning those operation, turning those inputs to output. So the management process of inputs to output. So that's my own simple definition.
Okay, I like that. So it's basically defining based on how you understand, and that is the best. That is actually the good part. The good part about reading is when you understand something, when you are writing it. See the way she said it now. When she's writing it in exam, she may not put it like that, but the thing is, she have an understanding of what that means. So it will be so since you have an understanding of what that means, it will be very easy for her to answer that question if you actually say this. You understand? It's just a process. Like for me, like I said, for me, I can define operation management as the process whereby I a, a process where or organization turn their resources right into useful product for me. And then within useful products it can be useful product or services. So, but when I'm writing, the way you can write, you can just think very well, then you write, and then you put, but then have an understanding of what that means. You're good to go. Thank you very much. It's good that we you understand. Things we are passing here. So let's look at strategic planning. Okay, yeah. So we look at planning operation. We look at strategic planning. Is a process of. This will just have something a very good point like this. It just be like a normal paragraph. Strate- strat- Strategic planning is a process that brings to life the mission and vision of the enterprise. Strategic plan, right? It's just a process that bring to life the vision, the mission and vision of the business of the company, all that. So a strategic plan, well crafted and of value is driven from the top down. Consider the internal and external environment around the business. Is the work of managers of business. So we can see what it's saying here. He said a well drafted and of value is driven from the top down, right? So you start from the top management level down to the level down, whereby you tell. But when it comes to operation, I will tell you, when you come to operation in a lean process, yeah. What I mean lean is a methodology that used to use so many very big like manufacturers and then uh, companies. So which it really help a lot because in the lean process, like in the lean methodology, operations or the management chain is not starting from top to down. It start from down to up. Do you know why it's like that in the lean? It's not
Because I think any decision we make beneath affects every other um, management, every other level. So if it's an operational level, it should definitely affect the business or the corporate level. That's what I think.
okay. So the lean methodology believe that it's a data driven methodology, right? So it believes that a business, for instance, that there's a word there. They say when you have an issue in the lean process, you have to go to the gamba, and the gamba means you go to where that thing is happening. So, for instance, that does not mean a clerk in an office or like an operator is actually in lean. An operator is actually more important than the management. You know why? Because the management is actually making decisions from whatever the operator is giving him. So, for instance, is the operator that tells the management that my machine is not working. If I don't tell you that my machine stopped working, you don't know. I'm the one that tell you that this is the number because Link believe in data. And so why it does that is that it wants you to believe that it wants the operator to know that you are his value, so that I can tell him that, okay, guy, I want to give me an idle. For instance, okay, let me give you an example of where I work. Like this, an issue we had then when I have to work on this issue for like 6 months. So we're trying to fix an idle time. Now idle time we have some active and passive idle time. So idle time whereby you start the crane. Let's say you have a crane where a crane that's supposed to pick a container from the vessel to the terminal, and then we want to know the idle time, the time that this machine is not working. So, for instance, I don't go to work in the night. There's an operator that will go to work in the night. So he's the one that will give me. So, for instance, he can actually on the machine for 20 minutes and he will not capture the data. I will not know. So we have to make these people to we have to make this operator to value them so much that they have this kind of confidence. They have this kind of trust. You get, they believe so much in themselves because they believe that it is what they are giving, they are feeding the management with. Because the management wants, if I want to know the idle time, I don't go to work in the night. I'm not the one to capture the data. So actually, so what I did an application in a Power Apps with a barcode. So we have like a scanner, right, with a barcode. So for instance, if your machine, or maybe when you're working and your machine stop working, that is a kind of, you have some kind of defect. You just scan the code and it submit the data immediately. Once you scan and submit, it send the data. You understand? So just imagine that someone that you don't value that person will just. So what I'm saying here is this: I'm trying to explain this statement here. It's driven from top to bottom, and then it's actually, I'm just telling you another management method that is actually different from like the general one. This is actually rare. You understand? It's not every company that use lean in Nigeria. I'll tell you the truth. It's not all. You understand? The first company that started using lean methodologies, modular. These people that did phone, right? They're the one that started using that before Toyota. Toyota was the second people that use that. So they use lean, and even operations from an airport. The airlines they use, the aviation industry use lean methodology too. That's what they used to do their this thing. So what they do is like every day their own is what they're trying to do is to reduce waste every day, because in the process all this thing. So that is why if I don't value this guy from down, this guy cannot give me good data. So I have to. It takes data from down to up. So even though the manager can be like, I want you to do something, but he's not like you are. He's depending actually on you to do that before he actually get the call, because we have, let's say for instance, we have different meetings. We have like tier one, tier two, tier three, and tier four. So tier one, let's say tier one is the data that is collected by the operators. Then you go to tier two, maybe like supervisors. Supervisors collect that data and take it down to tier three. Tier three are like managers. Then from that place to tier four. Tier four are, so you see the data, the chain of data is coming from down to up. So whatever, if the management is going to make a mistake, that means they are making mistake from the down part. You understand? They are making mistake from the down part. So you can see that everything starts from down to up in that methodology anyways, but just another method of management. So all those things are just stuff we can read and understand for real. I think there's an example here. So let's look at operational effectiveness. So to deliver superior performance, a firm must strive to select product attribute that product attribute that are distinct from those of its competitive, and create business processes that are more effective than its competition. Operational effectiveness means developing processes and operating policies that support the strategic position better than the processes and policies of competitors, right? So it is refers to any number of practices that, so operational effectiveness include, but it is not limited to efficiency. It refers to any number of practices that allow a company to better utilize its input. For example, reducing defect in product or developing product faster. It is important to understand that operational effectiveness does not mean the lowest cost process. A firm such as FedEx, the carrier company with a strategic position focused on speed and reliability, they develop operational effectiveness with process having confidence in speed, not low cost. Yeah. So, okay. So in practice, gaining and sustaining a competitive advantage requires that a firm have a good strategic position and operational effectiveness to support the position. So we have the so in all these things like I'm saying here, right? The what the strategic operations strategy, like I said, it explains how the operations functions support the overall business operations. Do you understand? And it actually one thing it's doing for you is answering one question. It's actually answering the question of how can we how can our operation help us or help this company win in the marketplace. So what strategy can we use to win these other people? Because the truth is everybody's people can copy your business and use another strategy and they'll be like, wow, it is the same business that I'm doing, right? So it just is the same thing, but they can just take it from you and then they brand it, put another level to it, and then you'll be so sure. So we look at the strategic hierarchy. Now, strategic planning span different levels in an organization, and at the highest level of a diversified company, corporate strategy. So we have like okay, now we are looking at the levels of strategy. Now, let's take this one as number one: strategy, corporate strategy. Right? We look at the corporate strategy, which is the highest. Can you see? It is the highest of it. So they can ask you which of the highest level of strategic planning is what. That is can the question can come like that. It's corporate what strategy. So this defines the business in which the corporation will participate and specify how key corporate resources will be acquired and allocated to each business. So the corporate strategy formation is thus like portfolio selection, choosing a mix of directions and product lines so as to ensure synergy and competitive advantage, all those things. So if you look at this corporate strategy, it can say it deals with the kind of business the company should. You understand? It deals with the kind of business the company should be in. What kind of business are we doing? And which is the highest of the highest level. So for instance, let's say example of Dangote. You know, Dangote Group decide to enter into cement, sugar, petrochemicals, all those things. So it's just like they is a corporate strategy. Those ones, uh, they are as it is now. They can even be trying to even discuss about another product that you guys are not aware. The next thing, the only thing you just announce it, bam, it's there. So that is number one strategy, which is corporate strategy. Take note of it. And the next level is business. Can you say and the next level is business strategy. It defines the scope of each division or business unit in terms of attributes of the product that it will offer and the market segment that it will serve. Do you get? So if you look at this one, the business strategy it explains how each unit will compete. You understand? For example, uh, just example I've given about Dangote now. Just imagine that Dangote Cement decide to focus on cost leadership by producing cement locally at low cost. Do you get? So if they are just doing, for instance, they have cement plant in every place now. They say they have it in Lagos, they have it every place and all that. So they can actually focus on that and then just to reduce cost. Understand? So that is on the business strategy. It defines the scope of a division or or business unit in terms of the attribute of. So I think there was a time that they were saying Dangote cement was expensive, and then this other cement, BUAD was like, okay, his price of cement. So everybody wanted to be using our business. So they understand what they know how to actually what contact their competitors. Say, okay, our competitor is saying that cement is 10K. Let's make our own 5K. I understand. So they were just to beat down the guy. That is the business strategy, different from the corporate strategy. So we just look at that, and then we'll move on to that. And then, so in the business strategy, since the goal is to differentiate the firm from it, hello,
Yes, I can hear you.
yeah. So we have how many level of strategy? We have one. The first one is corporate strategy, and the second one is the business strategy. And so this one is about the business strategy. So the business strategy entails a two group analysis, a pronged analysis. We have the competitive analysis of the industry in which the business unit will compete, and the critical analysis of the unit competitive skills and resources. Now, at the next level, we have the functional strategies. Right, we have the functional strategies that define the purpose of marketing, operation, and finance the three main functions in most organizations. So we have like the marketing team, we have operations, we have the finance. So the marketing identifies and target the customers that the business unit wants to serve, the products that it must supply in order to meet the customer need, right? So and then we have the operation design, plan, manage process through which the business unit supplies customer with desired product. We have the finance that acquires and allocate the resources needed to operate all unit business processes. So all these things together. So all these are the business strategies. Uh, these are the kind of the strategies we're talking about. So in this one here, it's more of operation. These are the functional. The functional strategy is more of operations. You understand? So the functional strategies here is more of the operational part of it, where you talk about how production will be done, right? It will talk about what technology will be used, how the quality will be ensured, how do we ensure that quality, right? It also talk about the capacity, how the capacity will be planned, stuff like that. You understand? So in the functional strategies here, like talking about the operation, like you said, design, plan, manage process through which the business unit supply customer with desired product. So in this place now, a lot of plannings going down here, right? Just imagine, like I said, where the let's assume that Dangote trying to like build a plant, like build another plant that is very close to raw materials to reduce transport cost, or maybe the transportation taking cement from the north down to the east, right? It may not be like so. What they will try to do, they can try to say, okay, let's move another plant down to close to the east side, so we can now be having cement there. So from there, they can know how to. It will reduce the transportation cost and all that. So, what are the three key functional areas in the organization? All those things. We have a question there. So anybody know the answer?
What are the three keywords, sir?
What are the key functional areas in our organization?
The three key functional areas in an organization.
As operations, marketing, and finance.
Uh, mm, Areas and strategies kind of confuse me. Sorry. But yeah, thanks. At least I will know how to prepare now.
Yeah. So you see, the answer is already in the material, but then maybe the way the question came to you now, you felt you did think too much, right? But then the answer is already there. So just like you said, the key function and see the thing is here. Can you see? So the three main functions in most organizations, can you see them? The three. See the equation here. This is the equation. And the person that answered it even started from number one to three. He didn't even mix it up. Be like this person just captured this material and you said, but then it's from marketing, operations, and finance. These are the key. So this is the question. So you have answered that question. Very good. So look at it now. We have this. He said the business strategy is concerned with the selecting external output markets and the product with which to supply them. Areas operations strategy involve designing internal processes and interfaces between input and output market. So let's read this thing. Understand? Okay, have another question. What is introduction to business? What is introduction to business all all about? What is introduction to business all about? That's a question, Aaron.
Yeah, that's a question, but I don't think it was in the material or something. Maybe it's just our misunderstanding of what business is all about. So,
Okay, so we'll do that. I think the answer to this question, Abi, you did not answer this one. You answered it now. That's number five question now. This should be number five. Abi? So he said, okay, this question we answered. I think we did this question too. So he said it introduced the one to basic concept of business and strategy and how to take basic decisions in regards to marketing, distribution, human resources, manufacturing, finance, and accounting. So I think we want to finish module one. This is too much. Should we do study three or we should close? Let's do studies three, then we'll close now. So this is page 37. So we look at process analysis, right? This actually comes to what I do every day. So we look at process analysis. So now, first of all, what's a process? Do you guys know what's process like? What's a process? Can somebody tell me what's a process?
um, I'll say a process is a sequence of an event or a sequence of activities.
Thank you. That word they use sequence of activities has covered what the process is, right? Now, but if you look this one, we are looking at process analysis. Now, now you know that process we've said sequence of activities. So what is now process analysis? Are we still together?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, so what is process analysis?
The process analysis is the breaking down of of a process. Yes,
Mm,
and you understand the process. You want to improve on the process, and yes, it's just a to break down the process, improve, and then control your process. So
okay, perfect. Okay, thank you for that. So yeah, we are good. I think the thing is already here, so you can read this. By the way of introduction, that the the aim of the analysis phase of a business process design project is to understand how the processes of a business function and interact. Then the aim of the design phase is to improve the way the process processes improve the way that those processes operate and interact. You understand? So you can see now, I can tell you that the process analysis is just a way you can examine how to work. You understand? How your workflows. What I talk about when you talk about workflows is the workflow is just like this the same way like process. Like so the process analysis is just to examine how the workflows in an organization or in a company so that it can be improved. How these things work, how the workflows, how is the workflow, right? So, for instance, it's just an examination, just the way you said it. It's just an examination. How to look at this, the process. I can tell you that I've done like a lot of process that I've worked on. Like when I started my job, I started as a like I started business intelligence developer in my company. So that's like a BI developer. So I was working basically with the like operation and the PEX team. We have the process excellence. So we work based on like looking at the company process from each department, from customer service, from HR, from this, from that. And then the idea of the process is when you look at the process, now every process, now when you have a process, I'm just trying to just give a practical example based on my experience. I have to meet, so when I joined, I've encountered a lot of processes that were very bad. Now, when I talk about processes that are very bad, are processes that takes a lot of time, they waste time. A process that's supposed to complete in a day is taking 2, 3, 4 days or 1 month, and that's a very bad process. So when we joined, I was like, okay, this guy came in, let's do your work. How can you reduce this? How can you reduce the time? And so I've worked on processes that I've analyzed some processes, I've improved on those processes that at the end of the day, they end up sacking people, right? Because those people were not having like there's no job for them because their daily work was something that a system can just do. So that is the improvement, right? Now remember, I didn't do the work so that they can sack somebody. But what I did, I work on the process to reduce a whole lot. I saw that this process have a lot of what waste inside. So I now took the waste from there. By taking the waste, you have to push other people because these people, in fact, take them away. That's just the truth. So what happened is this: when you analyze the process, it helps you to know okay where is the delay coming from or where is so currently like I will tell you like there's a project like I am with there was a Kaizen that exercise that we are doing in my office currently. Like we want to know the turnaround time of a Tebek driver when he comes to the ship side to take a container, drop it with RTG and come back. Now, while we're doing that, we want to know where we're trying to analyze that process to know where is time, where is the guy wasting time? Is it from where he's waiting for the container to be given to him, or where? So what we are trying to do, we are trying to reduce the waste in it. I'm telling you, that is just the only thing we are trying to do. But it's something that we have started from Monday to Friday, and when we are doing that, is because we don't want to just use a particular shift or just one night, or we don't want to use day shift to do that. We want to use so we have to use we are using both shift, night and day, night and day, and we are not using just one operator, different operators, so that it can help us to analyze to know where is the challenge. Is the challenge coming from the truck? The challenge coming from the mobile crane person? Is the challenge coming from the terminal from where he's turning, all those things? Do you get? So that's just another one. We have done process that we have reduced a lot of waste, where a process that's supposed to take up to 3 months, or that even take to a month, we have reduced it to like a day. Like like I've reduced a process that takes up to a month to one to less than one less than 30 minutes. Sincerely, a process that takes up to a day, 3 months, has reduced to less than 5 minutes. That is just the delivery time now. Talking about that. So when you analyze the process, it helps you to improve that process. You look at the pain point. You look at the pain point in the process, look at the bottleneck of the process, and then you actually suggest. So that is why when you analyze, there are sometimes you have to even have to use money to fix some things. But anyway, let's just go on so we can understand this in the material here. We're just trying to give you this. Okay, before we go into the main material, let's understand. The question is here for us. They said identify one of the purpose of analysis phase. Why are we doing the analysis? Identify one purpose of analysis phase. As I just mentioned these things now. Hello? I think I'm the only person here.
No,
Oh, okay.
I think, can you hear me?
Yes. Identify one.
Oh,
Why?
I think one of them is to identify and prioritize the areas of improvement.
Okay, perfect. That's also one. And another person should mention one. Me, I can say I can give you four. I can if I give you three, I can give you seven. One.
To remove waste
th-
and
Thank you.
redundancy or duplicate of the process,
Thank
to
you.
control time, like to
Yes,
reduce the process time.
exactly. To remove, you can say to reduce waste, to also remove delays. You understand? We look at delays in the process. Like we look at delays, we look at how we can remove delays in the process. And then we look at how to remove errors. A process can have a lot of errors inside that you may not know, for real. I give you an example of a process that I think in my head. Like for instance, let's take a process, analyze a process like this. I have let's assume Chison have a store, like a WhatsApp store. Chison, this is your process that we are trying to work on. So Chison have a store where she sell clothes on WhatsApp, right? So now this is her process. This is where the process start from. So it can start from where a customer send her a message. Customer send the message to her, right? Customer send the message via WhatsApp. Send WhatsApp message. So the message will come to her. She will receive the message, right? And then when she receive the message, we'll confirm that okay, the person say I need this shoe, I need this is where she will answer okay, it's 10,000 naira. The person all the communication on WhatsApp, fine. The person now say she will answer okay, pay money. The person pay money, and she will answer okay, I need to deliver this item to you. She will now call her rider. Now when she call the rider here, it's either the rider will answer call, right, and the rider is going to answer the call, or this the rider is going to be here. Let me say her rider is going to be this guy, and then maybe the rider did not answer the call, right? So if the rider answer the call, she will tell the rider come and pick the item. The rider is coming to her. Now, this is just I'm writing it, so you may not see all the delays. Pick the item, okay, take it to my customer, right? But if the rider did not answer the call, you understand? This is another thing that will happen here. If the rider did not answer the call, it's either she'll have to go back to the customer and tell the customer that we have to wait to I cannot send it today. The process is still going on. If that's the process, it's still now the end product of this process is for the customer to get the shoe. So the rider will pick the item, bring it to the customer, and then imagine the customer is not satisfied. The customer is not satisfied. Satisfied. If the customer said no, I'm not satisfied. If it is yes, then the process is terminated, right? But if it is no, that means the customers have to send back this item. The customer have to send this item back to Chison, right? So we tell the Chison that "No, I don't like this item." So now, by the time you analyze this process, this is what happened. There are a lot of there's some issues in the process. First of all, there's going to be delays. The delay is that if the Chisholm does not have an automated system that actually help the customer to track his or her order. So that means immediately I pay the money. Chisholm just told me that they are bringing my item and that item can be on the way for 2 days, but I don't actually know where the item is. I honestly don't know. But she said I've sent it to the rider. So now the rider may not call me until maybe he get close to my place that he'll call me. So me as a customer, I'm just wondering, I'm just at home. I'm just thinking whether I will get this item or not. Are you getting me now? That's the issue. So like that, like that, like that, like that. But then imagine, so by the time you analyze this process now, you see the fault in the process. Then you can now tell Chisom that Chisom say, if you want to do your business, can we just do a simple app or a simple system, or we can just even get a shop on Shopify, right? So that when the order, they pick the order, once they make the payment and we send their order and they do the Shopify can help us to track. So if we give it to a rider, we just update it and then the person can actually know where the rider is coming from. It can get immediately you pick the item, you automatically get a rider. You don't have to call. You already know a rider that is going to be available for you to pick. So I can say, okay, this person is available. Let me pick him. I pick this guy. The guy. At the point I was thinking of why is everybody's going into fintech. This is in fact there's a lot of there's a business gap in Nigeria that is very big here, the logistic company, right? Sincerely. Because if you go on Facebook or Instagram, there is this there's this logistic company, Sharp Carrier Ability, that the Temo is using. Those guys have very bad reviews on social media. They don't pick people's call and people have been complaining. Somebody can actually use that as a business strategy. Like I can actually start a logistic company and partner with Temo to Nigeria and I will make money for real. We use that as a case study. So what I'm saying is this is a process already. This is an existing process. But then by the time you analyze this process, by the time she analyzes this process, a lot that you have to do. And by doing that, it may require her actually going into or make just spending money. That's the truth. You have to spend money to actually fix that process. That's just it. Or we just find another way. But that's just the process. So a process, when you analyze the process, so what will happen is like by the time you do that, you fix the issue where your customers are also going to be more satisfied because if your customers are ordering from you and they are getting their order in 5 hours, and after you have fixed your process and they are able to get their order before the 5 hours, I'm telling you, you have won already. You have won in that area. I'll tell you the truth. So that's it. So there's a whole lot we can do when it comes to that. Yep. So please we'll continue later For real. I'm actually tired. I had another class before and I'm having this one. I'm tired now. So well, we can look at it together more.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah, welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Chison. Thank you, everybody. Afolabi Ezekiel. Thank you, Sunday. Thank you, Yakubu, and who again? Sunday, Yakubu, Afolabi, Chison, and okay, yeah, that's all. So, bye bye.
Yeah, bye. Have a good day.
Okay.